Your host for the Screencast Video Coaching episode tonight. We didn't have any pre-submitted questions, so I think what we're going to do is just ramble on through a few of the video content resources and tricks and things like that. So I have a couple of resources that are kind of new, but more importantly, I think I'm going to even take the opportunity to kind of show you a few tips and tricks on how to use the things in your Camtasia projects. Truth be told, like I say, you can go out and you can find all different kinds of stuff, graphics, motion elements, any number of things, transitions, and oh gosh, there's just all kinds of stuff we can use for video content to kind of keep us going and to get our videos in a kind of professional type shape. And that's kind of what I mean by video content resources, things that we can use to embellish, to engage, and to add that professional touch. So there's tons of stuff out there, and I'll give you a couple of my favorites. We're going to go off the cuff here, and we're just going to walk through a few things that might be useful. So hopefully that will kind of play into some stuff that will be handy dandy for you. Mike mentions excellent Webby with Damon earlier, super tips, and a pat on the back to me. Oh, thanks, Mike.
Hello, boy.
Because actually, I'm going to cover some of that. Our good buddy Damon Nelson over at the Video Penguin place asked me to be a guest on his webinar last Friday, I guess. And we were talking about using one of these elements from a new product called DropMock, and how to use the video green screen effects inside of Camtasia. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and touch on that. Let me see here. This isn't a hugely scripted kind of a thing. Generally, we'll see about some of the stuff I'm playing with and whatnot. When it comes to stuff for video content, of course, Presenter Media is like my favorite. We have tons of stuff inside the members area on Presenter Media, so I'm not going to really go over that, but I did just want to give it a little bit of a mention here because it is just a wide variety of advantages and things that we like it for. Let's see, another one, and Mike mentioned this earlier, is one called DropMock. Right, DropMock. And what this does is it lets you customize imagery a la Photoshop without having to have or use Photoshop. Now, I checked this out, and they've made some improvements based on some feedback and stuff like that. There are a couple of us that were talking to the developers, Lee Pennington, and giving feedback prior to the launch. So we got some good stuff that got taken care of and whatnot. Let's just go ahead and I'll show you real quick how this works. Again, this was a great deal on the launch special, and I'm going to show this just as an example of a tool. Before we get into that, I'll tell you there are a couple things I did not like. Not necessarily even technically about it, but more related to the offer. So you can get, a bunch of these templates in a front-end offer, which is, pretty normal. And then you have the opportunity to get more templates in an upsell or an OTO, one-time offer. And that's all well and good. That's pretty standard practice. What I did not like was that in order to have the developer rights, in other words, to be able to create these and sell them to clients, you have to purchase like the OTO, and I think it's a monthly kind of a thing. And that just irritates me to no end. So it is what it is, and it's a trend we're kind of seeing that I hope doesn't necessarily get too pervasive. If you, for example, create stuff for clients, then having this abundance of things that you can do, is certainly kind of useful. And I'm going to show you how to do this without DropMock. But let's just take a quick look because, I thought this was kind of sweet in a lot of respects. So you see all of these different templates. And in fact, on the Facebook group, there's a post on there where if you send me your URL, somebody put in a URL for their website in the chat box or in the question box rather, and we'll just make one. But on the Facebook group, I said, hey, if you give me your URL, I will make one of these images for you. So somebody put in give me a website. Anybody got a website hanging out there? Okay, Donna, let's try this. This is something I really kind of like. So I'm just going to put in the website URL. It's going to go grab a screenshot from it. And this might not work as well on a piece of paper here, but certainly for some of the computer monitors or stuff like that, could be kind of sweet. And it's going to pop it in like that, right? How cool is that? You can also add text effects and, meme text and do all kinds of futzing around with it. I'll go ahead and grab this real quick and download it. And let's call it Donna and put it in the directory here. And Donna, hit me on Facebook. I'll send this to you. Yeah, so it's kind of neat. Well, one of the things I was thinking is that let's look at the laptops and the monitors. So, for example, here is an image that, again, you could put a website on, like we just did. But I kind of thought it was interesting that it had almost this poster board, whiteboard kind of area over here. And I thought, well, couldn't we put a video inside of here also? So there's a couple of little tricks that I kind of racked up to do that. So let's try it. In PowerPoint, I basically created myself a green screen image. So I'm just going to do it from scratch here. We'll create a new slide, and I'll set the layout to blank. And then I'm just going to right click on it, and I'm going to format the background. And I am going to choose, with the more colors here, a very bright, hideous color of green. Okay? So now I have a slide that is basically completely one solid color. If we think of this as our green screen, with camera green screens, you're going to have wrinkles and shadows and all that good stuff. None of that is here. This is one solid color. It's going to be very easy to remove in Camtasia. Well, I kind of got to get this out as an image. So what I'm going to do is just go to File, Save As, and we'll browse somewhere. And let's see, let's call it green screen. But instead of saving it as a PowerPoint presentation, I'm going to save it as a PNG image. We'll say save, just this one, right? So now I have this, it's not 1280 by 720, but it's close, green screen image. So if we go back to DropMock here, and I click here, instead of grabbing an image from a URL, oh, by the way, if you have Usign, you can import all of your Usign images. I'm not going to get into that, but here, so here's my green screen background. I'll open it, and I don't have to crop it or anything because it's all one solid color. I'm just going to hit save. And the nice part is that it's just going to size it and put it right in there for me. Okay, so I basically did this for a whole bunch of images, and then I pulled them into Camtasia and just preview a couple of them. But you'll see that there are a bunch of different images and different layouts and stuff. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of show you how we manipulate some of these. In fact, I created a sample video. Let's see, let's just roll through here a little bit. And I'm just going to kind of scrub. We'll let it roll. Let me mute it first. But you'll see what I did was, here's a video clip that now runs where the green screen is, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. But I also added some extra elements in Camtasia. So there's a Camtasia text callout, and then I'm going to show you a trick here to be able to do this cool zoom effect, like a Ken Burns effect, where everything stays together, and just added a bunch of different elements and things like that. So let's jump over to Camtasia and take a quick look at this particular sample video project. So here's the actual project that I created that video with, and I just started off with a little bit of an intro, and then basically this should look kind of familiar right here. It's that image that we basically just created in Dropbox. It has a green screen. Okay, so I'm going to, let's jump to the end here and I'll just kind of show you how to set that up. So I would take my image, drop it on the timeline, and we'll stretch out here, right? And I'll resize it to make it fit. Not all of the images are widescreen, so you just got to kind of monkey with them, but it's no big deal. So the first thing I'll probably do is click on it and then go to the visual properties, scroll down, and remove a color, right? And here's one of the tips, is that a lot of times with green screen in Camtasia, I don't know why this is, but it remembers the last color that you used, which is kind of handy, I guess, but if it's not exactly the same as the last color you used, watch if I pick the eyedropper tool and tell it to remove this. Well, it doesn't do it properly, because by default, as soon as I clicked remove a color, it removed the previous color, but it wasn't the correct color. I don't want to get too much into the weeds on that, but here's how I fix it. So let me uncheck that. Remove color, change this to anything else, as long as it's not, green. And then grab your eyedropper tool and boom, now it's all gone. And you can mess with the tolerance and all the standard green screen stuff. Okay? And at this point, it's really simply a matter of putting whatever content you want. I'll go ahead and drop it on top just to begin with here, because I want to resize it. Okay? Now, I don't need to get it the exact size of the monitor, but I just kind of want to get it close. Right? Okay, something like that. Because now what I'm going to do is drop it underneath and watch what happens. See that? Now it crops in perfectly into the monitor. And the reason, of course, it does that is because we have multiple tracks, multiple layers, right? Whatever is on top rules, so to speak. Then, because this green area here is keyed out or removed, that which is underneath will show through. Okay? And then at this point, you can, like I say, just add callouts. And let's jump back over to the other part here, and I'll show you a couple of tricks. So that little process I went through is essentially exactly what's going on here. But you'll notice I added a text callout. And then I added another text callout. So it's really just kind of whatever you want to put in there, that kind of thing. But you'll also notice that I grouped those elements from before. Right? So here's my PNG Dropbox image that's green screened out. Here is my Joey video, Joey puppy video. And the reason I group them together is because, let's look down the road here just a little bit. I did a combination, let's look right there. So this is just a PNG image, but you'll notice I have my video clip, and then I added another image. Okay? And in order to make these move and zoom all together, what you need to do is you need to group them. And let me collapse the group for a second. Notice right here, I put in a zoom. And it's a nice slow zoom. But notice what's happening. The video clip and the Dropbox image are zooming together, right? And then, boom, the other image comes in, and it's zooming together as well. Everything works together, but only if you group them. Okay, if I hadn't grouped these, I would have to try to animate the PNG with a zoom, and then animate the Joey video with a zoom. Oh, hideous. Hideous to try to synchronize that. So the way we get around that, of course, is, let's jump back here, we just group them. So you highlight and select, or you can pick one, hold your control key, select, right click, group, and now any animations I apply to this group will apply to all the elements of the group. Right? So that's kind of a neat little tip. Okay, does that help? Scott likes it. Julie says she may be really dense. Why bother with adding the green screen again? You don't have to, Julie, and that's kind of a good point. So, for example, let's just make that point. Let's take my green screen thing. Let's drop it here. Technically, it's just a little cleaner, and I'll show you why. Let's just say this is an image. I'll show you that you can do this without DropMock. DropMock just does the sizing here, and you saw how long it took me to create this. I could do the same thing in PowerPoint, but I got to draw out a shape or different things like that. Again, technically speaking, I wouldn't have to use a green screen, as Julie alluded to, and here is why. I could just drop the Joey video on top and then resize it to fit in the screen, right? And we might have to stretch Joey and Kiro out a little bit. For all intents and purposes, that's kind of the same. In fact, let's zoom in a little bit. It is kind of the same, except that with the green screen, it's going to be very definitive, and you don't really have to monkey around too much with it right. So in this particular case, it kind of works out okay because the border for the Joey video is black, and this is black down here. When you start getting into some of the other images and whatnot, it's a little bit easier to use a green screen. Let me give you an example. So that worked well when the image right here is square. Okay, let's jump over to one of these and take a look at this guy. Right? So here, we're kind of off kilter, aren't we? And you'll notice that it has a curve to the top of the television screen here. Well, if I didn't have a green screen that perfectly fit that, then I couldn't just drop the Joey video on top of here and have it look right. It would be a nightmare. In the case here, though, where it is crooked, I did use a little bit of finagling, and let's just look. So, for example, the nice thing about in Camtasia is what can we do? Well, we can, rotate stuff, but if we go to the visual properties, I can also twist it around in 3D space, right? So it's not abundantly apparent in this one because pretty much I'm just messing with rotation because of the way that the monitor is, or the television is sitting. So I just kind of, line it up with the parallelness of the monitor here. Let's jump over to one other one. Well, just to wrap that point then, you'll see that it looks like it's inside the television, right? So that's why. And then in this particular case, let's open this guy up. There's my clip. I can also rotate it not just, around this way. I can rotate it in 3D space and tilt it, literally. Right? So it gives me, for some of these different kinds of perspectives, and again, all I did was kind of just make my video box here match the lines of the perspective. So that's kind of the major reason. So let me see, how would you do such a thing without something like DropMox? I don't know, let's go to one of my other favorite resources. And that is, here we go, Pixels. If you guys don't use Pixels for like stock photos and footage, this is the bomb.
Sweet.
One of the biggest reasons for the bomb is right here. They are Creative Commons License 0, which means they are free for personal and commercial use, no attribution required. Okay, so let's just search for monitor and see what we can find. Here we go. Kind of drop mock looking, right? So could I do the same kind of trick here? Yeah, I probably could. In fact, it wouldn't even surprise me if some of the drop mock images, they just put them into their software and then defined those regions. But I could certainly do this guy, and if I wanted to do it, kind of drop mock like, I could put this into PowerPoint and then draw, myself a green screen and save the whole thing out as an image. Deb says, show it, please. Okay, Deb. Let's do one. Let's do it. Okay, so here we go. We got a drop mock-like image. Here you go, drop mock 101. Let's see. I'm just going to, for demo purposes, I'm just going to copy this. Let's go to PowerPoint. And let's add a new slide. Layout blank. And paste her in there. And let's resize it. I'll give you a tip here. What you'll notice is that a lot of the images on sites like Pixels or Pixabay or Unsplash.com, all of those are free sites, that basically work the same way. But notice that my slide here is widescreen, and for my video, that's pretty much what I want, like 1280 by 720. Well, most of the images aren't widescreen, so here's kind of what I would normally do here. You could kind of stretch it out, and some images, of course, don't really matter if you just kind of go like that. Who really cares? I mean, that might work. But here's a little trick in case you want to maintain your aspect ratio. So let's do this. Let's click on the image. I'm actually going to make it bigger. I'll zoom out just a little bit. So now it does fill my entire slide, but I got some overlap here. I could roll with that, but here's kind of what I do. Click the Format tab, crop to aspect ratio. So I'm going to crop it to a 16 by 9 aspect ratio. And when I do that, you'll see that I get the crop lines and stuff, and now I can pick, okay, I want to make sure, that looks pretty good there. So we'll crop it like that, and now when I resize it to the slide, it fits perfectly. Boom. Okay, so that's a little trick. Let's see, how should we roll with this? We need a green screen, so let's insert a shape. And I think the easiest way to do this is probably we're going to do a freeform shape. Okay, this little guy here. Not the real squiggly one, not the scribble, freeform. I'll show you why. So we'll click that, and then I'm going to click the corner there. I'm going to line it up nicely, click there, and then you see it, I got my line here. I'm going to click here. I'm going to follow it nice and straight, get it lined up, click there, and then I'm going to close this shape. Boom. Right? Then at this point, I can kind of adjust it a little bit if I wanna, or I could redo it if I really screwed it up. And then just right click and make it green. Boom. Right? So now, probably group them, select everything, group those two together. Although technically I wouldn't have to. Now, there are a couple of things you could do. I could right click and save as picture, but I think I get a bigger, better picture if I use the File Save As method and save it as a PNG. There you go. Does that make you happy, Deb? Right, so yeah, we could do this all day. In fact, since the Creative Commons license is 0, what I'll do is I'll tweak this up a little bit. I'd also get rid of the outline color. No outline. And I don't know, that's probably good enough for government work. Creative Commons license 0, I'll save this out and we'll put it in with the replay. So you guys can have this guy. In fact, I better do that right now or I'll forget. So browse, free green, and we'll save it as a PNG. We'll put it right in with the replay here so I can't miss it. You know, since we're just screwing around and all. Just this one. Boom. There you go. But you can do a lot of fun things with green screen and PowerPoint. Here I just have a slide. I used a nice big font. What did I use here? This is just Arial Black on a blue background. But what I did was I went ahead and exported it. Let's open this up. It's kind of fun. This is a little video clip. Let's get this out of the way. A cool little stock footage I got from Deposit Photos. If you go there, this is a site that you can pay for resources, but if you sign up, they send you free stuff every week. And this week happened to be this interesting little thing. There's several places like this, but I like their vector graphics, and I think I did a tutorial on how to bust these up and stuff. But yeah, they're pretty handy dandy. They're only free for a week, and then they're not free anymore. So you get like one vector, one photo, one video, and one, they call them editorials. I don't even know what those are. But this one was the free one, and I liked it. I thought, yeah, I could probably use this for something, right? So what I did, here's a little trick I'm experimenting with. It's kind of a green screen thing. Just text, green text. I put a little white stroke on it and put it on a blue background, exported as a PNG, just like we've been doing all day. And here it is. Okay, but then what I did was I took it in and of course green screened out. Let's look at the visual properties. Green screened out essentially the text, and it kind of rolls like this. So here I did an animation to bring it in from the side, and so you can have like video backgrounds for text. Ooh. And then all I did to animate it out was use the transition. This is called the circle stretch. So watch this. This is kind of cool. I'll scrub through it real slow. Circle stretch. Oh. I also lengthened the clip a little bit. And in case you don't know how to do that, let's just kind of do it from scratch here. So the length of the clip was really only this long. It goes by pretty quick. Let's see what it is. It's 5 seconds. Okay, I wanted it to last a little longer than that. So all I did was right click on it and change the clip speed. Here's your clip speed trick. I never screw around with any of this stuff. Click once, up or down, don't care, right? Say OK. Then I grab the handles here and I make it whatever I want. A lot of people get hung up in, well, 114%? Is that right? Don't worry about it. Just get your handle here and then make it however long you want. Okay, so now it's a nice slow kind of thing, and we'll drop our image on, and we will key it out. Click on the green screen element, visual properties, remove color. See, and in this case, the color that I used last was indeed, the same as the one I've been screwing around with in PowerPoint. I suggest if you want to do, some of these green screen things, you pick a color. And let's see what this is actually. This is kind of good. You're not going to find this particular lime green in a lot of, stuff. So let's see what it is. More colors. Custom. 02550 is your RGB. 02550. I didn't plan that, but that's kind of easy to remember. It's 255 watts of green.
Don't touch that dial.
But there you go. That way, every time in Camtasia I go to green screen one of these elements that I've created, boom, it's just going to kind of work. But again, otherwise, just pick something else, then use your eyedropper, and boom, life will be good. Let's go ahead and zoom in here. I'm using my mouse wheel to zoom in. Of course, you might want to mess with the tolerance. So I would look for any, green remnants up here, and you can pan around by holding the space bar when you're zoomed all the way in and dragging around. Okay, so I don't see any. Let's see if I can make some green just to demo that for you. No. That's the nice thing about using a solid color that shows up nowhere else on your slide here. It just keys it right the heck out of there. Alright, and I'll go shrink to fit. Boom. Okay. I noticed they added a bunch of new ones too since last week. You can do some weird kind of things like put images on t-shirts. Really depends on the image. And I created a couple of coffee cups and stuff like that. My testing directory. For those of you who don't know, I rarely will recommend something unless I test the heck out of it. So there's a drop mock image for you. Boom! What do you think of that? Do I ever use GIMP for this kind of work? asked Stuart. No, I used GIMP a little bit when it first came out. I don't know. I guess as opposed to Photoshop, GIMP is kind of an alternative. But quite frankly, I don't really want to work that hard. If I can't do it in PowerPoint or with a tool like maybe Canva or DropMock or something like that, then I'm hiring it out pretty much. I made this in like 30 seconds in DropMock. It would take me 2 days to do this in Photoshop or GIMP or anything like that, because I suck at those things. Coffee cup wraps around. Yep, do a coffee cup. Coffee cups I found. Actually, we'll take Therese here and see if we can do a coffee cup. The coffee cups, where they want to put the image, I think is too much. They go too far into the cup here. So let's put Therese on there, because she's awesome. So here, I would have to stay within the confines of the crop, just because of the difference in the size of my image and the size of the crop, what needs to be pasted on the cup. So we'll just go ahead and try that. We'll say crop and save. There might be a couple of other tricks I could do there too. I'm not really sure. I haven't really tested that. We'll just kind of see what we get out of the box here. The other thing I kind of like about it is it's been wicked fast for me. Even during the launch, when I know people were hammering on it, the thing just ran like a scalded dog. Seems, in fact, this is the slowest I've seen it run. So there she is, on a cup, just like that. Okay, everybody, if there are no more questions, I will call it an evening, and I'll see you all later. Have a good one.